did my project on the origins of bachata in the Dominican Republic. I chose that topic because I was born in DR and I was raised there for half of my childhood. So, bachata has been a very big part of my life and I'm always surrounded by it. But I never knew the history, I never knew where it came from, how it's composed, or none of that. So I took this opportunity to really research about it, educate myself, and really get to know about the country I was born in. Okay, so to begin, bachata was inspired by Cuban bolero. So Cubans immigrated to DR in 1898 after the War of Independence, and so they brought their music with them, and they resided in the rural part of DR, which is called El Cibao, and the people there are called campesinos, which are basically poor people. Um, so that's where it originated, um, but it was inspired by Cuban bolero, with a guitar trio. Um, as I said before, campesinos were poor people, and bachata was seen as low class music. It wasn't accepted um, in middle class or in urban areas. It wasn't played on radios either, due to at that time Trujillo was a dictator and he pretty much controlled everything, even the music. He liked merengue and he made it the national music of Dominican Republic. Um, and it still is today, even though I feel like bachata is way more popular, way more well known than merengue. But you know, it's what can we do? um, yeah, so it wasn't played on radio, so it was only you were only able to listen to it in colmados, which are corner stores, and people hang out there. Also in get-togethers, in people's backyards, um, in the bar, in the clubs, and basically in the community. Um, After Trujillo was assassinated in 1961, um, campesinos thought this was an opportunity to move to the urban cities. However, it was really hard to get jobs and money, so they lived in shanty towns, which are really really poor areas, and that impacted the way lyrics were written. Because before, since bachata was inspired by Cuban bolero, it was more romantic. It was more like, oh, her beautiful eyes, oh, her beauty. She's my son. Very romantic. But after they were struggling in shanty towns, the lyrics became more vulgar, um, more sexual. Talked about, you know, sex, heavy drinking, and also about women causing pain to men. In reality, I women were actually, society, because they couldn't get jobs, but for some reason they blamed women for their pain and suffering, which I thought was interesting. But bachata was known for its double entendre. It's like having double meanings, and a really good example of that is Julio Angel. It's called El Salon, or the Salon. I'll show that right now. Okay, so I'll show you the lyrics.
Y cuando yo le meto el peine, yo comienzo por el cuello, ay, pero dicen Angelito, desenredame primero, ella me dicen Angelito, desenredame primero. Dime que sí, dime que sí. Ay, dime que sí. Dime que sí, dime que sí. Dime que sí, cuando yo voy por la calle dicen que soy comparón, pero es que saben que yo sé
Yeah, so if we take the literal definition of these lyrics, it's basically he opened a salon and there's like more than 40 women coming to him so he can fix their hair. Um, but I wanted to show this specific excerpt when he's like, when I put the comb on her, I begin with her neck, but she says to me, little angel, untangle me first. So this website helps us a little by saying like in Spanish, neck means cuello, and it sounds a lot like culo, which is butt. Um, but also what they didn't mention is comb, which in Spanish is peine, un peine, and it sounds very similar to penis. Um, so yeah, it's the double entendre is very present here, and also here it's basically he's saying, you know, I'm a player. So yeah, that's how the lyrics were around that time. And since it was very vulgar, it wasn't. That's why it wasn't accepted in middle class. However, in 1990, in the 90s, sorry, um, this musician called Juan Luis Guerra, he put out an album of called Bachata Rosa, and here he basically popularized bachata. It's well known, like it sold millions of copies worldwide in like Europe, America, and obviously in the Dominican Republic. And I'll show you a little excerpt.
Ay, 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 amor. Eres la rosa que me da calor. Eres el sueño de mi soledad. Un letargo de azul, un eclipse de mar. Pero ay, 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 amor. Yo soy satélite y tú eres mi sol. Un universo de agua mineral. Un espacio de luz que solo llenas tú. Ay, amor.
Yeah, so this song, it kind of goes back to the Cuban bolero with the romantic lyrics. Um, he's saying like, "I'll gift you the fall, you're my son," um, and stuff like that. And in later musics and later bachatas that he puts out, he still does the double entendre, but it's more poetic and less, you know, vulgar. So this was what polarized or popularized music, bachata. Um, but it's not the music that was heard in shanty towns, because Juan Luis Guerra, he was a middle class man. He studied at Berkeley actually. So he wasn't like the bachateros in like the shanty towns or in like the poor towns. But he opened the world. He made it acceptable for the middle class, and it allowed for other artists like Anthony Santos, Romeo Santos, Prince Royce to be able to keep making bachata. So that's pretty much it on the history. For my performance, I'm gonna use project, my mini project, and I just wanna break down how the bachata is kind of composed. So there's three main sections. There's el majao, well, el derecho, el majao, and the mambo. So el derecho is like the intro and the first verse. And so the instrumentation is bongos, a guira, which is like this metal percussion instrument, bass, um, guitar, and lead guitar. So here I just want to show you how the bongos sound like the rhythm. So it's a straight rhythm, And also the guira also plays in like all the eighth notes. Pretty simple. Keeps the beat going. Yeah. The bass has like a simple line. It goes. It just kind of um, highlights the chord. Yeah. And then the guitar that plays the chords just pretty much strums the chords like this. And then the lead guitar just, sometimes it improvises on this part. It improvises on the intro, um, but usually just kind of plays broken chords. Yeah, so that's just like a simple breakdown. So that's the derecho. Then el majao, it's the chorus, and like the bongos kind of change groove. So it's like da 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 da, but then it comes to more downbeats, so people can dance easier. And then el mambo, that's when everything, this is like the peak where it's just instrumental, and um the lead guitar improvises, and it's just people jamming, and it allows for the dancers to go crazy and feel the music and stuff like that. So yeah, this was my project on the origins of bachata. I really enjoyed um, learning more about this topic.